Hi guys, this is a review of what we covered in class as far as image sequences are concerned and turning them into animation, as well as using Muybridge references to create looping videos. So let's go ahead and get started. As we did in class, I wanted you to go to Google and type in Muybridge, M-U-Y-B-R-I-D-G-E, animal locomotion. And that'll search for all the plates that Muybridge has done with animal locomotion. I'm going to go to images here, and you can see that you can click on these, and they give you, usually they'll give you a nice looping series. Our hope is, of course, that they're at 12 frames per second, but you can always adjust them if you need to. Go ahead and pick one of the plates that you think you would like to rotoscope. In this case, I'm going to use this deer picture here, and I'm going to rotoscope these 8 frames. So I'm going to click on this, so hopefully get a better or larger image. I'll wait till I get to that website. What we're going to do is download that and open it up as fully as possible. So we're going to go ahead and download it. Open it by just double clicking it. It should open in Photoshop, taking screenshots of each of the individual frames. So I'm going to hit F 2 times and then Command 0 to get a full screen, and maybe even go a little bit bigger because this is Photoshop. I can. And I'm just going to use the crop tool. What I'm going to do is Shift Command 4, and you can see now I have a little crosshair, and I can click at the bottom left hand corner of the image and hold and drag, and if I need to move, I can use the spacebar key to move that image around or move that around. And what I want is the bottom left corner to the top right corner, and I'm going to do this for every single image, so there'll be a consistency. Bottom left, top right. Okay, that's one photo. Shift Command 4 is the keyboard shortcut on the Mac. And again, I'm going to hold the space bar until it's perfect, move it up here. It's kind of hard to do on a trackpad, but if you have a mouse, it's better. And then I'm going to do it again. I'm going to time lapse, or just speed this up so you don't have to watch me, but we're going to do this for all the frames. And again, the idea is to get them all as equally sized as possible. So spend a little bit of time on this. Okay, we're done with this, so I'm going to go ahead and close this up. And I'm going to go to my desktop now on my computer here, and you're going to see that I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 photos. And if I play them back, you can kind of see there is looks like the animal is in motion, which is perfect. I'm going to take all these, Shift select them, and right click on them, and then I'm going to select move or create new folder with selected items, 8 items. And that's going to put all those images into this new folder. I'm going to call it Buck, B-U-C-K, and that's going to be my Buck image. Now, we need to see if they are in order. So starting at the top, you can kind of see that if we go forward at the top, this is number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then it loops. So what we're going to do is the first one, we're going to hit the return key, and I'm just going to type 001. It's important that you put the 2 zeros in for any image sequence. I'm going to go ahead and do that for the next one, but the next frame, and just continue this until all 8 frames are labeled in the correct order. If you do this backwards, obviously it will be backwards, and if you make a mistake on the labeling and forget a 0 or something, you will also have a problem. So be careful here. Like for example, like what I just did, 06, it's 006, 006, come on, there we go, 007, and then finally 008. Okay, now they are in the correct order, and this image sequence is ready to import into Photoshop. So we're going to go to Photoshop and create a brand new document and do the same thing we normally do, HD 1080p as a preset. We're going to go to the Windows workspace and turn it back to motion as a default, right? And I'm just going to reset motion so it's all defaulted so you guys can see. I'm going to add a blank video layer to set the sequence to 12 frames per second, so new blank video layer. And don't forget, 12 frames per second. This is really important, or you'll be doing 3 times as much work. Okay, we're all set up now to be able to import our buck sequence. So if you did everything correctly, all you have to do is go to Video Layers, insert a new video layer from File, find the folder that's on your desktop in this case. So here is my desktop, and it's going to be somewhere, where is it? There it is, Buck. Open the Buck folder, select the first image in the sequence, and it will automatically know that these other 8 are in there, and hit open. You'll see that you get all the images right there. You kind of see them at the bottom. I'll just move this up so you can see it. Now what we're going to do is transform this buck layer. So I'm going to just type B-U-C-K, buck, for that layer so I know it's the one that I want as a reference. And I'm going to Command T, and it's going to say, do you want to convert it to a smart object? What a smart object will do is it will reference the photos that are in that folder, but not embed them. So when I convert this to a smart object, it allows me to manipulate it. So you can kind of see I can transform it. Sometimes the frame disappears. That's okay. Until you hit return, you won't see anything. But I'm going to go ahead and center this so I can trace it. And then I'm going to hit return, and then it comes back. But notice now it does not look like a blue layer that we can draw on. It is now officially a smart layer, which can be used for reference, but that's it. So it's going to be underneath here. And what you're going to do now is go through, I'm going to turn the opacity down so I can actually see through a little bit, so where I can see my brush. And you're just going to go frame by frame and go ahead and get this this animal into a layer with the drawing, and then go ahead and fill it in as well. So I'll go ahead and do that, and then we'll be back in a moment so you can kind of see, because you all know how to draw with a pencil and fill with a fill tool. Okay, so we're back, and I've gone ahead and animated the buck, and here's my final product. I want you just to see that I used the pencil layer as the beginning basis for my fill layer, which I then inverted the selection with the wand tool. So selected the pencil layer, as you know, clicked on the pencil layer, selected everything, Shift Command I to invert it. Then I went to the fill layer, and then I filled in with white. I thought I would fill it in with white. This way it would give me some type of background. And what I did after I completed the entire fill layer, as you can kind of see, here's the fill layer. It's pretty grungy, but it's okay. I then duplicated it by jumping it, Command J, to a new layer. And that layer I locked so that I could just draw inside of the layer like this. And you can see when you lock the layer, it doesn't allow you to draw anywhere outside. I used some of my cross-hatching brushes from Kyle, and I used some pencil tools and other things to kind of make it look okay. And so what I was left with when I was done was the pencil layer and then the fill copy layer, which gave me something that looks like that, which I'm pretty pleased about. I made the antler just a little darker. It's a black and white image, and the idea for me was to give something that looked like paper texture in the animation. All right, so I've turned everything else off, all the backgrounds, all the video layers, so that there's a transparency, right, as you can kind of see here. And we've only got the fill layer and the pencil layer. And I'm now ready to export it. I've got all my frames selected so that it loops perfectly at the loop point. So we're going to go to File, Export, Video Layer, or Render Video. And remember, because we're bringing this into motion, we need Adobe Media Encoder. We're going to need QuickTime, high quality animation, and don't forget straight unmatte. That's going to give me a work area of 0 to 7. I know there's 8 drawings, so that's 8 drawings right there. 0 to 7 is 8. And I'm going to put this buck into my folder that is the buck folder, not my horse folder. So here it is. And I'm going to hit choose, and I'm going to render this. Now, I'm going to go to my motion at this point, so I don't have it open, so go ahead and open it up. Wherever it is, here it is. And in motion, as you remember, we're going to import this 12 frame animation as the project. So we're going to go import as project. Remember, do it that way and don't make a new one. I'm going to find my video that I just made. Here it is. today at 12:42. Import as project, and that's going to automatically set it up. As you can see from the project property here, I'm going to select project, inspector, properties, and you should see 12 frames per second. That's what we want. Now, while you're here, notice 1920 by 1080. That's because you set up your Photoshop. But look at the seconds. I'm going to set that to 10 dot enter. And you see right away that this changes when I hit the return key. Don't forget to hit the return key. I'm going to loop that, open that up, move that out. So now I've got 8 frames and I've got a full 10 seconds, and I'm going to go to my buck now. Got to go to my timing pane under the properties here and go to end condition, and I want that to loop, and I'm going to have it loop several times. I want to do 120. That's going to make it loop during the full 10 seconds, and now you can see I have an animated deer. Now remember, this is against a black background that's actually transparent. If you wanted to see how this looked against something else, go to generators, and you could always put in some type of color. I'm looking for color solid. I'm going to put that underneath the buck here. Notice how there are 2 different groups, so I'm just going to make sure that that group is actually under the, this is tricky, right? Let's see, move the group under that there. Okay, now that's on a horrible blue background, select the color solid and maybe make the color like, I'm just going to sample the white here. White looks good. Maybe I make it a little off-white, so bring down the sliders here. Something like, that's a little too colorful. Maybe a little bit like this. That looks okay. Maybe bring up the color a little bit. There we are. Anyway, you get the idea. So at this point, I'm ready to export it from my motion project. And so remember how we do that here. Hit the share button or go to File, Share, Export Movie, Selection to Movie. And because this is going to be uploaded to Notebowl, I'm going to select my settings and make sure that ProRes is not what we're selected. Can remember, this is 4444, meaning alpha. We want H.264, and we want just the, and notice it says export selected layer. This is important. This is going to give you a problem. Notice how I selected my color solid layer here. This will only render a color. Even though we see everything here, I'm going to just export the entire project and select the export selected layer only. And then I'm going to save it. If you do this, it's only going to export the layer that you have selected or you clicked on, which in this case it's color solids, which is not the deer. Anyway, 16 megabytes, going to go to next. I'm going to put this in the buck folder as well. I don't know why it keeps going to Muybridge buck. And then I'm going to put this final deer, and I'm going to be turning this in. Hit save, and what should happen, it should open in QuickTime as soon as it's done, and if not, you can go to your folder on your desktop and double check this. Now this you'll be able to see, whereas the other one maybe you won't be able to. So there's our 10-second buck running. And you notice you get the beautiful motion in there, even if you don't spend a lot of time on the line work and stuff. That buck can be moving in space. So, and again, whatever you decide to use for your animation, it'll be interesting to see how you've rendered it.